First of all, guys, thank you very much for the opportunity. This is amazing. What first I would like to ask all of you, if you can, is a round of applause for the organizers and Forbes. We're enjoying quite a lot, right? So, today we have a very interesting panel. 4 entrepreneurs, but at the same time investors. I think for us this is very important to see both sides of the table, right? The future of wealth management. But before we start, what I would like to do is to please introduce yourselves, tell who you are, why they should listen to you, etc., etc.
Okay, ladies first. I used to be an investment banker doing credit derivatives. Then I moved on to VC, but that was a very specific VC business. I launched a product at a brokerage firm, made it available to high net worth individual clients so they could invest in venture capital and private equity at a later stage. I'm also investing myself, both in public markets and in startups, and my startup portfolio is over 40 companies now.
Amazing. That's amazing. Great stuff. Impressive. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, my name is Sebastian. I'm originally from Germany, but I moved to Cyprus last year to found my company here. We are providing data science services for wealth managers, brokers, and everyone who is managing assets. And we are predicting prices and unusual events.
Thank you so much. Sebastian.
Hi, my name is Zoltan. I'm originally from Hungary. I live in Cyprus for about almost 15 years. Same time, I'm in the finance industry as well. Financial service providing, Forex, investments.
Nice to meet you. And last but not least, Mr. Andreas, please.
Hi, everybody. Andreas Roussos. In the latter part of my career, that is the last 10 years, I've been in what was known financial technology, Fintech. I think now we have a whole lot more of acronyms to use, but I'll stay to that. Basically, we have turned regulation into a software that solves problems for, from a small asset management firm all the way up to tier 1 banks. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. So there's quite a broad tech panel right now. Actually, that's what I like about you guys right now. The future of wealth management. There's a lot of people panicking out there because, of course, artificial intelligence, because of different, let's say, solutions that are coming to the market. And today, what we want to debunk is whether we should be scared or should we be happy, actually. So the first question I would like to ask is to Mila. Of course, feel free to chime in because we want to get as many perspectives as possible. With all the fintech buzz, online guides, YouTube channels, all of the tutorials that are existing in the market right now, are regular people with no financial knowledge could become their own gurus in order to invest?
That's a great question, Mario, and I'm happy to start and share what I think, and then maybe each of us has his own opinion. So the question that you asked has a paradox in it. So I can answer yes, and I can equally answer no. Yes, in a sense that there is indeed an abundance of everything, you know. You can visit tip ranks, as example, and see all the analysts' opinions and their forecasts on all possible stocks in many markets. Mm-hmm. They will be ranked. You will be able to select your own portfolio. So if you have like long time horizon, if you're a student or if you're, you know, a young employee, and have $20,000, $30,000, and the classic wealth manager will not be available to you, then of course there is plenty out there. Or for example, there is a great resource in the US market called Tradesmith. They heavily leverage AI, and they will provide a combination of financial analysis on the stock with AI-powered technical analysis. If you're willing to do your tech analysis, there is a trading view where you can subscribe or use it for free, so you can form a portfolio. But if you have a 7, 8-digit figure, then it becomes far more complex. If you have kids, if you have liquidity needs, emergency needs, if you have unclear plans about where you will be moving next in terms of your tax residence, then it's entirely different story. And even a single person cannot align all these kind of decisions, in my view. At least coming from finance, I personally cannot do that, even for myself with all that experience. So what do you think, Mario?
Well, I think, honestly, that of course the tools that are on the market right now are quite helpful. But I'm still hesitant because of the tech part of this technology. We're going to go into what's machine learning or deep learning or data labeling, because I think that's the key part in order to get quality output of this artificial intelligence. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Andreas.
Well, I mean, going back, 3 decades ago, there was no Google, there was nothing, right? Now there's everything. But that does not mean that every tool available is of good quality and can actually help, right? We used to have, let's say, 10 wealth managers, individuals, that could give you advice. Not all 10 of them will be successful in giving you good advice. Now, what are we saying? There is online 1 million solutions to a problem. That does not mean that everything will be successful. Nothing is totally successful. So I think it comes down to the individual to do their research, to be educated a bit, and then try to find the correct tool that goes across any problem to have it solved. Otherwise, we go back to square one.
So how are let's say, the firms adapting to the increased demand of seamless and user-friendly digital platforms then from your perspective? Like, what is new out there?
Well, what I see in the market, at least from, let's say, our clients, is that they have been investing a lot of money to make the client experience seamless, from onboarding all the way to the advice or even the execution of the trades. The problem is that, I don't know, 50% of the world population has access to that, and then from those who have enough money, as Mila very correctly said before, to actually do it. So it's an ongoing process, and if you throw in technology, which is advancing, and not everybody has it available, so we've also seen part of the market just trying to white label a solution and move at least their front end to someone else's better solution.
That's fantastic, fantastic. Zoltan, you have been the CEO of Swissquote Capital for quite some time. And actually, I think there is a lot of people that is wondering about the tech solutions and alternative investments. So how do wealth tech solutions provide access to alternative investments that were traditionally limited to institutional investors or high net worth individuals?
Right. I mean, there is a lot of technologies that is out there. There is from robo-advisory to all kinds of AI-powered technology suggestions. There is many different platforms what anybody can use, not just institutional investors, but even retail investors as well. And also the companies such as ourselves, we heavily promote education. So to help the investors to invest in a smart way.
So you're not only providing services, but now also you're educating the people.
Right, exactly, because our motto is a well-educated customer is going to stay a customer for years to come. Well, on the other hand, if the customer doesn't take our help, of course there is Google or any other platforms where they can research things, but we try to do our best to educate the customers.
That's actually a good point. A well-educated customer stays longer with you because you're not only providing services, but also a better understanding.
Exactly, but of course some customers, they don't need help. I mean, they are very well informed, they know how to invest. And since we're talking about alternative investments,
yes.
I mean, you can't just talk about the physical assets of OSCO. There are CFDs. Nowadays there is crypto. Before that there was NFT and suddenly disappeared. So there is all kinds of alternative, different kind of investments where people can invest too. Sometimes, as we saw in the past, whatever is trending, like for example NFT, it doesn't mean that because it's trending is the best. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Now it's all disappeared. Who knows what's the next trend is going to be. So, of course, you have to be always cautious with the new trends.
That is actually a fantastic point.
If you don't mind, I have a question. So out of, what is the percentage of your clients that actually go into, the learning that you make available for them? Very, very curious about that.
It's a very good question. It's actually a low percentage because it takes a kind of humility to admit that I don't know everything. And if you're not ready to say, okay, well, yes, I need to study, I need to learn more about investment products. If you don't have this humility, you will not take part in this. And it's a big problem. It's a psychological problem.
And there you have a professional from the financial services for how many years who says, I still don't know everything.
That we talk about, actually, that's amazing. And the next point, actually, what I wanted to talk about is the tech part of all of this industry. Because, as everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, my worry sometimes is that everyone is calling AI to everything, which is not. And actually, my first advice has been always to different organizations, whenever they want to adopt technology, is to check under the hood, but to check what was the question. The first thing is that any organization that is looking into providing, let's say, artificial intelligence services, you need to vet where they are getting the data from. If you look at, let's say, ChatGPT these days, they have hit a ceiling, which is in order to get more data to train their algorithms and to train the brain. If you don't have the data, you cannot train the brain. So there are a lot of organizations right now that they are providing AI services, but you don't know where they're getting the data from to provide you the services, which is quite risky. So, Sebastian, you're a CTO, you know about back end, front end, you know about encryption, you know about 256 bits coding. And my question to you is data-driven wealth management replacing existing types of wealth management, or is it just simply a tool?
This is a question that is very easy to answer. No. Okay. But let me elaborate on it.
Please.
So there's a very prominent example back in 2020. We had Corona and it changed everything as well from a data perspective. I hope everyone is knowing Renaissance Technologies. If not, this is one of the best performing hedge funds in the world. And Renaissance Technology is purely working with algorithms. And they were very successful for a very long time. They are operating since the 80s. But when the data is changing and they have events that they don't know and that they can process, they are failing, what we saw in 2020. And therefore, we should never forget, when we are talking about AI, that it's just a tool. So if we are getting used to use AI and collaborating with AI, then AI will be part of wealth management, and it's a very important step for technology acceptance. I think I have every day to fight with technology acceptance with wealth managers, banks, and other potential customers. And yeah, therefore, we shouldn't be afraid of that AI is taking over everything, because AI has as well weaknesses.
That's a good point. So then, would you say that actually AI is not replacing people, but who is replacing is people using AI for certain tasks?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think about that? That's right now one of the biggest issues and, let's say, worries that many people have. Do I need a middleman with AI? Do I need more stuff? What is it going to happen?
I just gonna jump in here. So my opinion is the people who program AIs and wrote algorithms, it's a human limitation what the AI can achieve. Because you've wrote a program, trial and error, as you mentioned, the data that you can feed this algorithm as well, but essentially the limitation is that the humans are put to it. So it's a human-created world. It's only gonna be going as far as human can go. And when it comes to decision making, it's not always binary. You can't just say a yes or no answer to something. There is a lot of things where is I wouldn't say gray areas, but which is not really clear, this is yes or no. And when it comes to decision making, I don't think it's ever going to be replaced by AI.
Understood. Any thoughts on that, Mila?
Yeah, I do have my thought, and I will speak from perspective of a regular investor, let's say in the equity markets. Do I use some products that are AI powered? Yes, I do. Do I find them to be more precise or, better predictive than good analysts? At the moment, I don't. At least I haven't discovered any. But still, I'm very curious. And what I really like about AI-powered, or rather not necessarily AI-powered technologies, but rather about using more and more automation, is for a normal human being, it's just impossible to embrace a universe of several thousand US stocks. Yeah. So if you want to invest in the stock market efficiently, you either go for, top 5 tech stocks, which are performing okay, or you are looking for some superstars. And maybe going long, maybe going short. And for that, automation, and definitely the technologies are far better in terms of search, quick search, than human beings. And this, I think, is a fair thing to leverage.
I agree.
Let me go back to what you said before. It's all about any solution, any software solution. Good data in, good results out, number one. So you need the humans to identify, for the time being as we stand, right, the good quality data. Then how can we use AI? Well, if you're an analyst, then it will take you on your own, 10 hours to research, 1,000 stocks. Well, the tool will do it in 5 seconds. So it will make your life easier. But if we look at the whole of financial services, right, all participants, the majority of the infrastructure is legacy. Now, where are you going to find all this data? In systems that were developed to clear derivatives and are older than us, those systems, and they're still there. So still, we are a long way for the legacy system to catch up if they were will, whilst today's technology is going at a very, very fast.
Yeah, people are still even using assembler and stuff like that in embedded electronics, and that's not just because you have high-level coding, then you have low-level coding, and unfortunately the whole infrastructure of the world in banking has been done in low-level infrastructure, and we need to look into that, how we're going to be implementing it. But there is a lot of people that has been actually asking and doubting, the people that don't work in tech, like, does it have to be AI-based? Do we have to use AI? Because people still think that actually humans were better than the machines. Does it have to be AI? I would like to hear the technology guy. What does he have to say for that?
Let me tell you a secret. AI isn't usual AI. Often we are talking about machine learning or simple statistics. And for example, in our tool, of course, we are claiming to use AI, and many of our algorithms are AI, but there is not this one perfect AI model. You have always to deploy more than one model. Currently, we have over 1,000 models in place. And very often, we are predicting with very simple statistical models. But you never know. So,
do you reckon technology companies are overselling, per se, the industry?
Yes.
Fine. I like that point of view.
Sebastian, how many years we have been using AI without actually calling it AI? 10, 15?
So I would say the first time we used AI was in the 90s, in the 2000s. And BlackRock with this very famous Aladdin, this was very, very good data management in the beginning.
Yes.
Nowadays, it's probably AI, no one knows. But in the beginning, it was very good data management.
Adding on that, that's a very good question. Since when have we been using artificial intelligence? I don't know if anybody knows who Alan Turing is. Alan Turing is supposed to be the father of artificial intelligence, who was the guy who developed the Enigma machine, who was actually decoding codes from the Germans in the Second World War, right? And actually, you could say that we were using artificial intelligence since earlier than that, right? But the thing is that right now, because Now the world's connected, we have marketing, we have social media, things can be moved a little bit faster and can be sold easier. Which is one of the reasons why when we were listening to the VCs vetting on companies, or let's say checking due diligence and stuff, I was also wondering if they knew that. Because at some point, artificial intelligence is going to become just part of IT, like with chatbots. What do you think, Zoltan, about that?
Actually, yesterday I had a very interesting conversation with someone. They tried to bring in AI to replace customer service personnel. So it's not just a chatbot functionality, but in terms of voice communication in any language. And this is an interesting way to go down using AI. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, the data, it has to be accurate. It has to be trained as well. So I'm thinking about compliance issues.
And it needs to be legal.
Exactly. So it's a compliance side I'm worried about, but it's a very good way to use. Of course, once you're a customer and you don't know you're talking with not an actual human, it opens up a lot of can of worms there. So yeah, it's an interesting aspect, but you have to maneuver between the legality of things as well.
Completely agree with that. Now that we're talking on, let's say, policies, regulations, the legal part of it, which is as a CEO, of course, I don't like to deal with this stuff because, it's quite a lot of work and headaches. But Andreas, you have been working in policies, et cetera, et cetera. How do you think the whole regulatory and compliance dance is going to change the way we handle our wealth with technologies, or let's say in the future of wealth management?
It will change significantly. I mean, keep in mind, no regulator. Regulators want to be important, right? If they cannot oversee, they at least want to look as if they oversee everything. Right now, all they had to do, simple oversight, people, and now, right, with the evolvement of technology, you may have, I don't know, us for here having a wealth management retail solution that has global reach and it's just 5 people. Now, the regulator, just by asking us, are probably not going to understand anything. If they see Sebastian's code, they're not going to understand anything. So they will squeeze more and more and more. First of all, trying to understand what we do, and then issue regulation number 1, revision number 1.1, and it's going to be endless. So I don't expect regulators to back off. I actually expect them to try to learn and be more active. I'm not going to say proactive, they never are.
I just have a question here that from my experience I can see that regulators only jump in when something bad happened.
Yeah, after the fact. After the fact.
They learn from that and they make regulation changes after.
Okay, so some of the biggest scandals, I don't know, FTX, we were reporting for them, right? And you had regulators in the States, Germany, Cyprus, everywhere. I don't even know if now they understood what FTX was doing. Right? Another example, derivatives, complex derivatives, Lehman Brothers. It's been how many years? There's a global reporting regime. We are one of the biggest players in the market. Still, by the time the regulators get the data, have the personnel to analyze, and come to conclusions, it's a couple of months after the fact. And that's proven with what happened with Swiss banking and American banking the last 12 months. It's evident, it's out there in the news.
That's quite something. From the tech perspective, do we have any kind of input in policies? Do you think things are going to change in that?
I don't really think that the policies will change. But there is a famous saying: if you cannot avoid a revolution, try to head it. So this is I'm sure what we will not see from the regulators. It's very hard to head something that is ongoing. But at the same time, I see 2 trends. First of all, the world is trying to become less and less regulated. I mean, decentralized digital assets, they are appearing as a reaction to the regulation. People are trying to get away. On another hand, we're definitely seeing a trend that every country is trying to put in place their own digital currency to control more and more. So definitely this is an obvious trend. It's occurring. It's a little bit hard for me to say how quickly it will emerge, but definitely this is something to keep an eye on.
Agreed. Sebastian. Technical part, please. Can you please enlighten us a little bit about regulations and the technical part? Because, for example, from my perspective, I have seen that there is a lot of now organizations, startups that are making their own bank accounts with the whole infrastructure of a normal bank. But now the only thing is slowing down transactions is policy, regulations, and the countries. Connecting an API is very simple, but the regulations is the issue. How do you see it from the technical side?
So from the technical side, our responsibility is, in the first sense, transparency. Because so there is, of course, not one technology that needs to be included. It's often a bunch of technologies. And therefore, we need, of course, reporting for everything, but as well standardization of reporting. And by this, we can add step-by-step technology and make it as well for regulators okay-ish. Of course, they are very critical with new things, but as soon as you are transparent, it makes your life as a technology company easier.
Can I add something to what Mila said before? Because I completely agree with her. But the West, we are full of regulations about anything. Since day one, we are born until we die, there's a regulation directive about that. But wealth, it's still the majority of it in the West, and in 10, 15 years, it's going to be the East, the new markets, which are not really that much into regulation anyways. So are we going to see the Western banks moving to the East and follow that trend? Or are we going to see new entrants from there that are much bigger? So too many unknowns, too many assumptions.
That's unknown indeed.
We need an AI to give us the answers to
We
all
need
this.
an AI to discuss this, but I like the points that you're going. These are very interesting points that actually not many people want to talk about. Another point that actually that nobody wants to talk about, but in the elephant in the room, is the ESG investing. Now many family offices, many VCs, many angel investors, they're trying to get their money to do impact and ESG investing. I heard actually a very interesting conversation once online where they say that any idiot can make money with money. But right now, the new green, the new cool hip thing to do is to invest while causing impact and ESGs. Zoltan, tell us a little bit more about what do you think in regards to ESG investment and how crucial it is for society.
Actually, ESG and environmental friendly and ethical investment is not that new as people think. It's becoming more trendy, actually.
Okay, Zoltan, I'm going to challenge on that one. That is true. You have tons of VCs and investors that they say they haven't even on their website. We do ESG, SDGs, we fulfill the UN, this and that. But are they doing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to monitor, hard to track things. Some people are doing something called greenwashing. So you can show and say that you are investing ethically, you are into environmental friendly or sustainable energy, etc., etc. But that's not always the case. So it's difficult to police these things. However, the investors are getting more aware of how they impact the environment, and they want to make investment which they feel good with, and they're making an impact in general. Now, they can't be sure that the way they're investing it with other companies, with investment companies or funds or whatever, they actually do what they say they do, but that's a start at least.
It would be ideal to try to enforce this somehow so they can be transparent and seen, right?
Right.
Because I've seen in LinkedIn quite a lot of posts that actually are talking about investing into more female startups, into more minority startups. And I have seen that many VCs that say the same thing, but show me your portfolio. That's what I want to see if you're really doing it, right? So ESG, I think, is one of the important parts to talk about, but at the same time fulfill, I think. How do you guys see this happening in Cyprus right now? Because I know that there's a lot of wealth happening here, and a lot of people are coming here, and that there's a lot of things happening.
It's a lot of green initiatives going around. Government is subsidizing solar panels, even for residential or commercial places. There are funds being created around renewable energy. So, yeah, it's a good trend. I'm sure Andreas can tell me a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much we will subsidize you to buy a Tesla, but the electricity comes from fossil fuel.
That's quite nice. Okay, well,
So if you move in here, we give you a Tesla, but still electricity authority of Cyprus burns fossil fuel. So it's up to you, really.
okay, fantastic. We only have 5 minutes, and I want to get practical. I usually like, in panels, I like to ask for practical advice. So each one of you will have 1 minute in order to tell the public and the people, what do you think they should look out? What is your advice in terms of wealth management? How to be ready for this? We can start with Mr. Zoltan.
I thought ladies first.
Okay, Zoltan. Mila, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. My advice to everyone is be open for partnerships. Because in the era of wealth management, as we discussed, AI isn't a panacea. One wealth manager probably will not be able to deliver all the possible products to create the right asset allocation. We tend to go global. The startups need investors and mentors. Wealth managers need clients and products and technologies. So that all calls us for being open to all kinds of partnerships, being ready to take the feedback, and you will succeed. I think that's my secret sauce.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, sure. I would focus more on education. I remember growing up, nobody ever talked about finances, taxes, investments, or etc. They're not really teaching them in schools. I can't even tell you when is the appropriate age to introduce this, but it shouldn't be universities. And of course, not every university teaches. Of course, if you go somewhere generic or just you go college, you never hear about finances or how to do your taxes. And if we could focus on teaching our own kids, our own close family members at a young age about investments, finance, taxes, we can have a better future. And
perhaps we go to your website and get educated as well there, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic. Andreas, please, what's your advice?
Risk management / change. A few years ago, there was no COVID, no geopolitical issues, right? Maybe no AI, I don't know, right? So irrespective of where you operate, you need to be ready for change. 5 years ago, what was not deemed as important, now it's very important, and we just don't know what's coming. So be open to what's coming, and most importantly, be able to adapt. 30 seconds so you can tell us as well.
Actually, I would like to hear actually what Sebastian has to say about that.
Yes, so my advice is don't worry about the future. So,
Would you mind to elaborate?
How many years you have been in Cyprus?
I wanted to make a
AI is going to take over, don't worry about
break
it.
to think about. No, don't worry about the future. Don't worry about technology. Include technology in your processes. Trust in your processes that you're currently using and improve them by technology. And don't worry about AI. As I said, it's less magic than you think, and therefore don't worry about it and just include it and check if it works for you.
Fantastic. My 30 seconds are going to be, my advice is, I recently come back from Dubai. We were working with Microsoft in a couple of different techs and technologies. There's something that's going to come out that's called Copilot, and they're implementing pretty much everything they do. And I think that I see technology as an enabler, and I agree with Sebastian. It's like we should look at technology as something to help us out. I mean, this is pretty much what happened in the past when we look at cars. You know, all the people that had chariots came the car and then they just disappeared, but they just went into another profession. Now they became drivers, et cetera, and taxi industries. New industries come along. So my advice is just be open-minded, be literate, keep on developing yourself in different areas to be a well-rounded entrepreneur, and you're able to handle wealth management in a much better way. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I would like to ask for a round of applause for all the panelists here. And thank you, Forbes.